Life is all about the gray area undefined. Life is filled with parallels. You can have your cake and eat it too. You can choose to live your life out loud, or you can choose the in between or the middle of the road. Inside the gray area, that's where life happens. Welcome to Inside the Gray Area, sponsored by McGregor. Hi, I'm Leanne O'Brien, Chief Marketing Officer for McGregor. We're here to talk today about McGregor PACE, which is the program of all-inclusive care for the elderly. Truly an innovative program that is really made for seniors to keep them at home in the community. And we're here today with Lori Lozier. She is our site administrator for McGregor PACE in Elyria. Welcome, Lori.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
So tell us a little bit about PACE. I know that we've served for more than a decade in Cuyahoga County. We've been on this platform for a few years, hashtag expand PACE Ohio, with a goal to, in fact, grow this program because it is so vital to many seniors and their families in the community. So tell us a little bit about that growth and your involvement and so forth.
Sure. So the PACE program is being expanded to 7 additional counties in the state of Ohio. Currently, the only county that has had a PACE program has been Cuyahoga.
And we've been the only provider.
And we are the only provider, absolutely. So now with the expansion, we are able to move into other counties, and the PACE program, more importantly, is able to be expanded to more seniors across the state of Ohio, which is exciting. So I am working with the Lorain community. So Lorain County is the first new PACE program in the state of Ohio, again with McGregor PACE. And we will be we are currently opening up now, have been running the PACE program for just a couple of months, and are looking to educate and get to know the community and to make sure they understand the wonderful benefits that are available to them through the PACE program.
We're part of an organization called NPA, that stands for National PACE Association. I believe there's 164 PACE organizations throughout the United States, in 32 states, I guess I should qualify that, including the District of Columbia. And there's more than 300 PACE centers in the United States that serve more than 76,000 older adults. In Cuyahoga County alone, we were serving almost 700 individuals, and of course, the expectation for Lorain is to grow that as well, correct?
Absolutely, absolutely. Lorain definitely has a need for more services for the older population. We currently have a temporary site in Elyria, and we are in the process of building a permanent home for our McGregor PACE Elyria behind the Lowe's in Elyria. So we're looking forward to having that building. It'll be a state-of-the-art building that'll be open next summer, where we can we can help and provide services for more seniors in the Elyria market. We expect to grow throughout the county. There's a huge need beyond Elyria, and so we're beginning to do our outreach into the other communities as well.
Yeah, we focus, it seems like, on the urban communities, but also rural. And
Yes.
certainly, considering Lorain County, I mean, you've got, Amherst and Oberlin and Wellington and,
Yes.
Some other municipalities out there that definitely need access to these types of services.
Absolutely. One of the things we heard when we first started speaking with the folks who work with seniors in Lorain is a specific lack of services for in particular, for certain parts of the PACE program, which are vital for the older person. The lack of have access to care only because they can't, there's no transportation to get them there. So those kinds of services the PACE program can easily provide and will be and are providing in Lorain, and we're really looking forward to expanding it to show the many services that are available that goes beyond just a day center and medical care.
I know Dr. Cynthia Bellina used a term that I really liked. She was talking about the muscle behind the program and how that continuity of care is so tight It's quite different than, if you have a doctor with one healthcare organization and a doctor with another healthcare organization who may not necessarily be communicating with each other. But in the case of the PACE team, let's talk about that a little bit.
Sure. So I think that's one of the unique benefits of the PACE program is that it is made up very interdisciplinary. And even though that word gets thrown around a lot, unless you actually are inside and understand the PACE program, you don't understand the depth and the breadth of that comment. So this goes from so if you think about it, you go to a doctor's office, you might have an MA. A lot of doctor's offices, unless it's a specialty, oncology or something, you don't have a nurse. Well, every PACE participant has a nurse. Every PACE participant has a social worker. Everyone has a dietitian. Everyone has somebody who's managing their transportation for them, getting them to all the doctor's appointments, getting them to their medical transportation, getting them to dialysis, getting them to the day center, all the things that they need to keep them in the community, but also provide the care and support. In addition to that, there are the actual staff in the day center that are helping to meet their needs. There are there's staff members like a social worker, a therapist, a physical therapist that are seeing people in their homes, or they could be seeing them in the center. So, whatever the team, after a person is assessed, whatever the needs are is managed inside the team. So one of the benefits to the PACE program is the 13-member team that each participant has around them. So because of that tightness and because of the way in which we operate, it is truly one of the most it's not multidisciplinary at all. It is truly, if you've been inside any set of healthcare, it's mostly multi, even though a lot of people have tried a lot to be inter. But this is truly an interdisciplinary team, and so they work so tightly together so that, from the person who's picking them up in the morning to the nurse who might be seeing them tomorrow, whatever story happened between those two times, they know it. And we're prepared to take care of whatever the next need is of the participant or their family. So, the goal is to keep them at home, safe in the community with their family, with the help and support of the PACE team.
Sure.
And it is not a one-member team. It is a huge group of interdisciplinary people that all have a specialty to do those services and to make sure that that participant has what they need.
And I think when we refer to transportation, certainly it is, as you mentioned, to their doctor's appointments, any other disciplines and people that they need to visit. But I've also witnessed it. It's door to door. I mean, It's really door to door. They will pick you up and come to your front door. If you need help getting out of the front door,
Yes.
Onto the bus, they will help
Yep.
you do that. And then they're taken home at the end of the day. But let's talk about, what's a typical day from the time they're picked up at their home.
Mm-hmm.
And so what happens when they go to the adult day health centers? What's a typical day like there?
So it depends. I mean, we have 3 centers, and so no matter what center you walk into, something different is happening in each one. Some might be on an outing this afternoon. Others might be having a performer, but some might be working on a particular craft that they started. And you'll also see inside the center, these day rooms are large, and so just because 4 or 5 people are doing this doesn't mean there's not another group of 4 or 5 people doing something very different.
Sure.
But typically, it's according to their schedule. So some folks, they have children who work, and so they might need a home health aide in the morning because the daughter has to get to work at 7. So we send a home health aide in to make sure that mom is up and dressed and ready for the bus, so that when the bus comes to get them, they're ready to go. Bus driver gets them to the day center. They might have breakfast with us. They usually have lunch with us as well, participate in an afternoon event, and then obviously on the bus to get them back home. We have some participants who do great all morning and the family's there, but in the evening they can't be there because they work or they have something else going on. So maybe those participants have a little home care to help make sure that they get in the home, they're safe, they're ready, they're secured to wait a couple hours until their child or whoever their caregiver is will be coming home to check on them. We also do meal programs, so there are plenty of folks who eat in our center during lunch, but don't have any way to make food in the evening, and so they need food delivered. So we drop off meals to their home to make sure that those meals are there. And, the fact that you have people laying eyes on them all the time. So, if the driver gets to the door and you don't answer, they don't walk away. There's phone calls and phone calls, and then there's phone calls back to the team. Anybody talk to them? Does anybody know what's going on? And then it's okay, well, we'll circle back while the driver goes to get the next person. There's some other team member figuring out why you didn't answer your door.
Sure.
So it is not just a one and done, it's
Right.
very much as if that person, is your family, and we're all responsible for them, and we want to make sure that they're being taken care of. So we do whatever it takes.
And let's talk a little bit about, it is an option to receive physical and occupational therapy there.
Yes, it is. So we have, so all of our centers have a physical therapy gym, a therapy gym, and it has OT and PT, of course. And so some people come in for actual physical therapy and occupational therapy. Some people come in for more of what I'll call like a restorative program, an exercise program. They just want to make sure they stay fit. We have some people with weight loss goals. So medically they're fine, but they might need to lose a little weight. So there's equipment there that they can use while they're at the center. Some people, may also want the benefits of a dietitian to help them figure out what they're doing at home in terms of meal prep that could be different to help with the weight loss. Some were trying to help gain a little extra pounds, and so for those folks, it's what can we do different, to make sure that you're getting enough of whatever nutrients you need to make sure that you're maintaining your weight. So it's different for everybody.
And the big thing is socialization.
Very much so. So it's funny because we have rooms that some of us can work in at our day centers if you're just dropping by for a meeting or something. And there's certain rooms you really can't work in because there's so much livelihood going in the room behind you that you get a little distracted from the whatever they're doing over there while you're trying to do a meeting. So yes, it's very socially interactive. Again, there are people who are prefer to stay with themselves, a couple of ladies that might be together or a couple of guys. But for the most part, there's a group of people working or having fun doing something. And, we also do have in some of our centers, a bilingual community. And so we have some events that are also done bilingually for that particular purpose. You'll sometimes, something's going on in this part of the room that's English, and in this part of the room, it happens to be Spanish. So it's to meet whatever needs that the participants have.
And I know on at the PACE location here at Forest Hill, there are triage rooms. Let's talk a little bit about, is that, how that works. Is that a good alternative sometimes when you really don't need to go to a hospital ER?
Yes, so, we often, unless obviously it's an emergency,
Sure.
We encourage the participants to contact their primary care doctor. There's always a primary care doctor on call, so there's no reason not to call. And sometimes the answer is go to the emergency room because they need to be there. But sometimes they're just not feeling well or they're having an issue. We will often pick them up. So sometimes we have a nurse, let's say it's in the evening, maybe the nurse is going to check on you to make sure you're really okay. And if you are okay, you'll stay home, and then tomorrow we're going to pick you up and bring you into the center, and we're going to have the provider, doctor, nurse practitioner see you to make sure. Some folks, let's say might be refusing their medicine. They decided they weren't going to take it anymore. Well, then that's probably going to represent a request for you to come on in and talk to the doctor about this. And if you refuse to come in, one of our providers is going to go to your house and talk about it, even just so that they fully understand, what that choice is and what that will be. But those triage centers are not ERs by any stretch of but they are really there so that a provider can lay eyes on them. And sometimes right away, the first thing they'll do is, if they don't want to come into the center, we might get them to come into the clinic. Okay, don't go to the center today. We'll bring you to the clinic because, you don't want to come because you're dizzy. Okay, let's get you to the clinic. Let's let the nurse take a look at you. And if we need to get the doctor to see you, then we will also do that. And then we'll take you back home. You don't have to stay at the center today. And it's a great option for people who just need a little extra support or who really aren't sure. And instead of going to, because we all know the emergency rooms are very busy and
crowded.
And for an older adult, there's, it's a lot of hours to sit in a chair. It's hard enough for, me to sit in a chair for 4 hours to wait in an ER. It's a lot different when you're older.
Yeah. A lot of options available and choices available for them and their families. Thank you for joining Inside the Gray Area. We're here to answer all your questions and share some interesting insights. I'm Leanne O'Brien. We look forward to seeing you next time, and be sure to follow us on social media and our YouTube channel.